Hidden deep in the North Carolina mountains lies one of America's most mysterious ancient relics, Judaculla Rock. Covered in more than 1,500 cryptic petroglyphs carved thousands of years ago, this massive boulder has baffled archaeologists, storytellers, and spiritual leaders for generations. What do the symbols mean? Who carved them? And why does Cherokee legend connect this rock to a giant supernatural being? In this documentary, we explore the origins, enigmas, and theories behind one of the oldest and most puzzling artifacts in North America. Join us as we uncover the secrets of Judaculla Rock, the ancient mystery hidden in plain sight. The mountain that remembers. In the heart of western North Carolina, just outside the quiet community of Cullowhee, a massive soapstone boulder sits partially buried in the earth. To the casual passerby, it may look like little more than a weathered slab of stone, smoothed by centuries of rain and wind. But look closer, really closer, and its surface reveals a sprawling tapestry of mysterious carvings, cryptic lines, spirals, claw-like marks, circles with radiating arms, humanoid figures, tracks of animals, real and imagined. More than 1,500 symbols in total, etched across a rock that predates the birth of Rome, the construction of the pyramids of Central America, and perhaps even the rise of settled villages in the region. This is Judaculla Rock, one of the largest and most perplexing petroglyph panels in the southeastern United States. For generations, it has drawn archaeologists, historians, spiritual leaders, and curious travelers. All of them search for answers, yet the rock guards its secrets with the silence of centuries. The meaning of its symbols remains largely unknown. The people who carved them left no written records, and the story of the rock's creation exists only in fragments of oral tradition and archaeological inference. But while we may not have all the answers, one thing is certain. Judaculla Rock is old, very old. The earliest carvings may date back more than 3,000 years, perhaps even 5,000. That makes this boulder one of the earliest and most enduring pieces of artwork on the entire North American continent. And unlike many ancient sites, it has remained in its original location, untouched and unrelocated, since it was first carved long before the arrival of Europeans. To understand Judaculla Rock, we must first understand the land around it. The mountains of western North Carolina had been home to indigenous peoples for thousands of years. Long before the rise of the Cherokee Nation as Europeans came to know it, earlier cultures lived, hunted, gathered, and worshipped here. Their lives were intertwined with the rhythms of the forests, the rivers, the seasonal migrations of animals, and the cycles of the stars. In these mountains, everything carried meaning. Every river bend, every ridge, every stone. And yet, among all the rocks in these hills, this one became sacred. Judaculla Rock sits on what was once a major soapstone quarry. Long before metal tools, soapstone, soft, carvable, and heat-resistant, was prized for bowls, pipes, and ceremonial objects. Archaeologists have found remnants of quarrying pits and partially carved vessels near the rock. This suggests that people came here not only to use the land, but also to mark it. The site may have been a center of trade, ritual, or gathering, one of the earliest public spaces in this region. But what exactly were they carving, and why here? When early European settlers first encountered the rock in the 1700s, they were fascinated by its markings and turned to the soul, Cherokee, for answers. The Cherokee themselves had myths that centered on this area, and one name in particular stands out: Saul Kalu, often anglicized to Judaculla. He was a supernatural giant, a powerful hunter who could leap across mountains and command the animals of the forest. He was not evil, nor exactly benevolent, more like a guardian whose presence demanded respect. In Cherokee legend, Judaculla Rock was his territory. One story says that a deep scratch mark on the stone was made by Saul Kalu's massive, seven-fingered hand as he leapt down from the mountain. Another says the rock marked a doorway, a crossing point into the spirit world or the realm of the slanty giant. To the Cherokee, this was no ordinary stone. It was a place of power, a link between worlds. Yet the story becomes more complex. Archaeologists believe the carvings may predate the Cherokee arrival in this region by centuries. If that's true, then the Cherokee, like the settlers after them, may have inherited a mystery, adopting an ancient site into their own cosmology. What began as prehistoric artwork may have evolved into a sacred landmark, layered with cultural meaning over generations. Regardless of its original purpose, Judaculla Rock is undeniably unique. No other petroglyph site in the southeastern United States contains so many symbols, arranged in such density, over such a large surface. The rock's sloping shape, like a tilted canvas, seems almost designed for inscription. And the carvings, some shallow, some deep, suggest multiple phases of engraving, possibly spanning centuries. Today, as we begin this journey into the heart of one of America's oldest mysteries, we must accept an uncomfortable truth. Judaculla Rock may never fully reveal its secrets. But the search for meaning is itself a window into ancient America, into the minds of the people who carved their world into stone, hoping their messages would endure long after their voices were gone. In the chapters ahead, we will explore the symbols, the legends, and the scientific theories that attempt to unlock the secrets of Judaculla Rock. But first, we must ask a fundamental question. What exactly is carved into this stone? Symbols of the ancients. If you were to stand before Judaculla Rock today, you might first notice its sheer size. Over 14 feet long and nearly 10 feet wide, the boulder's surface curves like a giant stone tablet. It doesn't lie flat. Instead, it slopes downward, as though inviting the observer to run their hands across its etched surface. Archaeologists often refer to it as a petroglyph panel, but this is no ordinary collection of carvings. It will be hard to convince any one of these people to attend any harm. Judaculla Rock is one of the densest, most symbol-rich petroglyph sites in North America. The rock contains symbols of many types: cupels, small round depressions hammered into the stone, concentric circles, sometimes with lines radiating outward, claw-like marks, reminiscent of hands or animal tracks, lines and grooves, straight, curved, and interconnected, humanoid figures, though highly abstract, geometric patterns that defy simple interpretation. Some symbols are isolated, others overlap, forming complex clusters. Many appear to be connected by winding pathways or lines, as though part of a larger diagram. This visual complexity is one reason Judaculla Rock remains so difficult to interpret. To understand the carvings, archaeologists first attempt to classify them. Cupules, for instance, are one of the oldest types of rock markings in human history, appearing in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. They may represent stars, territorial markers, ritual pounding spots, or even game boards for ancient pastimes. At Judaculla Rock, they appear in great numbers, hundreds of them, and their arrangement may not be random. Some align along lines or within shapes, suggesting intentional groupings. Then there are the grooves, deep, sinuous channels that snake across the rock's face. Some appear almost like maps, branching and merging like rivers, while others could represent path systems or spiritual journeys. The Cherokee legend that Judaculla pressed his hand into the rock may come from a series of long, finger-like grooves that resemble claw marks. But these marks may have far older origins, predating the Cherokee by thousands of years. One of the most intriguing features is a large, roughly humanoid shape carved into the upper portion of the rock. It lacks detailed limbs or facial features, yet its form is unmistakable. Some archaeologists propose it could represent a shaman, a mythological figure, or a ceremonial leader. Others suggest it might symbolize a deity or spirit entity known to the ancient carvers. And that said, it might be striking that there is a sign of Tom. It might be Lee. To the Cherokee, such figures would be associated with beings from the upper world or underworld, powers beyond human comprehension. But perhaps the most enigmatic symbols on the rock are the concentric circles. These appear widely in petroglyph traditions across the world, often representing the sun, portals, or cosmological centers. At Judaculla Rock, the circles sometimes connect to lines that radiate outward, almost like spokes on a wheel. Were these markers of celestial events, ritual symbols, or something more abstract, representations of cycles, seasons, or clan identities? Some researchers have proposed that the entire panel is a kind of story map. Rather than depicting a single narrative, the rock may contain multiple layers of meaning: mythological tales, territorial claims, ancestral paths, or records of ceremonies. This idea aligns with indigenous traditions, where stories and histories are often encoded in symbolic or pictorial forms. The rock, in this sense, could be a memory board for an ancient community. Yet even with all we know, there are profound uncertainties. Some symbols appear weathered, their edges softened by time. Others are sharp and fresh, carved perhaps only a few centuries ago. This indicates that Judaculla Rock may have been an evolving canvas, one where different generations added layers of meaning over centuries, possibly even millennia. Imagine a stone where each carving is not a final message but part of a long conversation, stretching across time. Modern researchers use advanced tools, 3D laser scanning, photogrammetry, and microscopic analysis to document the carvings with unprecedented accuracy. These methods reveal patterns invisible to the naked eye. Subtle grooves form networks. Overlapping symbols show sequences of carving, and new carvings never before noticed emerge from the digital reconstructions. Still, even with modern technology, the meaning remains elusive. Without written records, without
direct cultural continuity from the ancient carvers, the symbols resist simple explanation. They exist as echoes of thoughts from minds long gone, expressions of a world we can only glimpse through stone. Yet perhaps this is the power of Judaculla Rock. It challenges us to confront the limits of our understanding. It forces us to consider that ancient peoples possessed complex symbolic systems as rich, if not richer, than our own. And it reminds us that not every mystery is meant to be fully solved. Some are meant to be honored. Legends of the Slant-Eyed Giant. To understand Judaculla Rock, we must dive into the realm of myth. For the Cherokee people, the landscape of western North Carolina is alive with stories. Rivers, caves, mountains, and stones are woven into a tapestry of cosmology where the natural and supernatural coexist. At the heart of these stories stands Judaculla, the mythic being whose name became Judaculla in English. Described as a giant with slanted eyes, Judaculla was a master hunter and a powerful spirit. He lived in the far mountains, in a place the Cherokee called Judaculla's judgment seat, often associated with Tennessee Bold or Devil's Courthouse. According to legend, one day Judaculla leapt from a high ridge, landing abruptly on the boulder we now call Judaculla Rock. As he steadied himself, his massive hand, possessing 7 fingers, dug deep into the stone, leaving behind the long grooves that still mark the surface. This act consecrated the rock as part of his domain, a place where the boundary between human and spirit worlds was thin. Some versions of the legend describe the rock as a map, drawn or inscribed by Judaculla himself. The lines and symbols are said to represent hunting grounds, trails, sacred sites, and places where supernatural beings dwell. In this interpretation, the rock isn't merely art, it's a divine document, a spiritual chart of the Cherokee land. Other versions tell of forbidden ceremonies held near the rock. Judaculla was not to be disturbed lightly. His domain demanded respect. Hunters traveling through his territory would leave offerings or perform rituals to avoid angering the great being. The rock, in this sense, was a warning, an ancient caution carved into stone. To the Cherokee, Judaculla was not a monster but a guardian of nature. He ensured that animals were hunted with respect. He kept balance in the forest, and he punished those who took too much or trespassed without reverence. The carvings may reflect this relationship, a system of spiritual and ecological law encoded visually. Yet it's important to remember that Cherokee myths about Judaculla are not relics of the past. They continue to be told today, passed down through generations. For many Cherokee, Judaculla Rock remains a sacred place. It is not simply an archaeological site, it is a living part of their heritage. But what makes this story even more fascinating is that Judaculla's legends may have been layered on top of an older tradition. If the carvings truly date back 3,000 years or more, they predate the emergence of historic Cherokee culture. This means that the Cherokee may have inherited an already ancient site, adopting it into their own belief system. This practice is not unusual. Across the world, cultures adopt the sacred spaces of earlier peoples. Stonehenge was used by many groups over millennia. Pyramids of Mexico were repurposed by later civilizations. Even in the American Southwest, ancient Puebloan sites have been integrated into the spiritual traditions of modern tribes. Thus, Judaculla Rock becomes a palimpsest, a spiritual manuscript layered with meaning across time, from ancient quarrying peoples to the ancestors of the Cherokee to the historic Cherokee Nation. To modern descendants, historians, and archaeologists, each generation adds its interpretation, building a narrative that is both continuous and transformed. This blending of myth and archaeology creates one of Judaculla Rock's greatest mysteries. Where does legend end and history begin? Some researchers speculate that the 7-fingered handprint of Judaculla might be rooted in actual imagery on the rock, human-like marks with extra grooves. Others believe the legend developed because of the unusual shape of certain carvings. In oral cultures, physical landmarks often anchor stories, and over time, the stories and the places become inseparable. There is also a cosmic dimension. Some Cherokee stories connect Judaculla to star beings or sky travelers. The concentric circles on the rock, sometimes interpreted as portals or eyes, might relate to these myths. To ancient peoples, the sky and the earth were intimately linked, and sacred sites often served as points of communication between them. Repurposed by later civilizations. Even in the American Southwest, ancient Puebloan sites have been integrated into the spiritual traditions of modern tribes. Thus, Judaculla Rock becomes a palimpsest, a spiritual manuscript layered with meaning across time. From ancient quarrying peoples to the ancestors of the Cherokee, to the historic Cherokee Nation, to modern descendants, historians, and archaeologists, each generation adds its interpretation, building a narrative that is both continuous and transformed. This blending of myth and archaeology creates one of Judaculla Rock's greatest mysteries. Where does legend end and history begin? Some researchers speculate that the 7-fingered handprint of Judaculla might be rooted in actual imagery on the rock, human-like marks with extra grooves. Others believe the legend developed because of the unusual shape of certain carvings. In oral cultures, physical landmarks often anchor stories, and over time, the stories and the places become inseparable. There is also a cosmic dimension. Some Cherokee stories connect Sul-Kalu to star beings or sky travelers. The concentric circles on the rock, sometimes interpreted as portals or eyes, might relate to these myths. To ancient peoples, the sky and the earth were intimately linked, and sacred sites often served as points of communication between them. Whether Tul-Kalu was a literal being, a metaphor for natural forces, or a representation of an ancestral clan spirit, repurposed by later civilizations. Even in the American Southwest, ancient Puebloan sites have been integrated into the spiritual traditions of modern tribes. Thus, Judaculla Rock becomes a palimpsest, a spiritual manuscript layered with meaning across time. From ancient quarrying peoples, to the ancestors of the Cherokee, to the historic Cherokee Nation, to modern descendants, historians, and archaeologists. Each generation adds its interpretation, building a narrative that is both continuous and transformed. This blending of myth and archaeology creates one of Judaculla Rock's greatest mysteries. Where does legend end and history begin? Some researchers speculate that the seven-fingered handprint of Sul-Kalu might be rooted in actual imagery on the rock, human-like marks with extra grooves. Others believe the legend developed because of the unusual shape of certain carvings. In oral cultures, physical landmarks often anchor stories, and over time, the stories and the places become inseparable. There is also a cosmic dimension. Some Cherokee stories connect Sul-Kalu to star beings or sky travelers. The concentric circles on the rock, sometimes interpreted as portals or eyes, might relate to these myths. To ancient peoples, the sky and the earth were intimately linked, and sacred sites often served as points of communication between them. Whether Tul-Kalu was a literal being, a metaphor for natural forces, or a representation of an ancestral clan spirit, his connection to Judaculla Rock adds a layer of depth that pure archaeology cannot provide. Myth provides context, an emotional and cultural framework that reveals how ancient peoples understood their world. And so, in studying the rock, we are studying not just stone, but story. Not just symbols, but belief. Not just the past, but the living memory of a people whose roots reach deep into this land.
Theories, secrets, and the future. With its rich mythology and ancient carvings, Judaculla Rock invites speculation. But in the modern age, with advanced tools and scientific methodology, what can we truly say about its purpose? One major theory is astronomical alignment. Researchers have noted that some symbols appear to align with solar or lunar directions, particularly solstice, sunrise, and sunset lines. Though the rock itself isn't positioned like Stonehenge or other known observatories, it may have functioned as a ritual site where sky patterns were marked symbolically rather than tracked mechanically. Another theory focuses on shamanic trance visions. In indigenous cultures worldwide, petroglyphs often depict spiritual experiences, ritual journeys, or encounters with otherworldly beings. The spirals, pathways, and anthropomorphic forms on Judaculla Rock resemble imagery produced during trance states induced by ritual drumming, dancing, or plant medicines. The rock may be a physical record of such visionary experiences. A third theory emphasizes territorial mapping. Some archaeologists believe the rock was a boundary marker, delineating clan territories or hunting grounds. The density of symbols could represent generations adding clan signs or updating boundaries, much like a living treaty document carved into stone. But there are deeper questions. Why this stone? Why this place? Why such a concentration of symbols over thousands of years? One answer lies in the rock's geography. It sits near a major ancient travel route, a natural corridor between mountain valleys. As generations moved through the region, this rock may have served as a meeting place, a ceremonial stop, or a memorial to ancestors. Its soapstone composition made it easy to carve, encouraging repeated use. Over time, what began as simple markings may have grown into a sacred tradition. In recent decades, conservation efforts have become essential. Weathering, vandalism, and erosion threaten the carvings. Without protection, the petroglyphs could fade entirely within a century. Local communities, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, and preservation groups have come together to safeguard the site. Fencing, drainage control, and 3D digital documentation help ensure the rock's survival. But preservation raises a deeper question. How do we protect a sacred site while still sharing it with the world? For the Cherokee, Judaculla Rock is not merely an archaeological artifact, it is a living spiritual landmark. Balancing respect, access, education, and protection is a delicate task. Modern digital tools may provide one answer, allowing high-resolution images, 3D models, and virtual tours to convey the rock's detail without exposing it to physical harm. As we look ahead, one thing is clear: Judaculla Rock will continue to inspire curiosity. Its carvings speak across time, its legends echo across generations. Its presence reminds us that ancient America. What does the rock say? We may never know, but its story continues, shaped by science, myth, and the human desire to understand